right, since we just spoke about social media, we're going to do conference selfies. This side first. I'm not kidding. So this side, everybody over here. Everybody wave. Conference selfie. Okay, now this side. See, empty chairs are never good, so let's go over here. All right, over here. Conference selfie, everybody wave. Okay, we'll get that up on Facebook and Twitter later. There we go. Since I just took a couple of minutes out of my own time to do that. So this particular presentation, like all of mine, has come from conversations with folks like you. Nobody rings you up anymore. Everybody sends you an email. Every conversation is by email. Is something ringing? Anybody hear? We do hear some ringing. Anybody here? Okay. Is that you? Ringing? Okay, there we go. Okay. Anyway, so this presentation is going to be about how to have better email conversations so you can learn how to handle those particular things. Now, this is not just about weddings. What I'm going to teach you is going to work for corporate customers. It's going to work for any type of emailing that you do. There are three basic types of emails. You have inbound email. Someone sends you an email. You have not communicated with them before. You get an email. Probably says how much do you charge, but you get an email. Ongoing communication, no matter how it started, you're having a back and forth with someone. And the third kind is an outbound solicitation where you send them the first email. Not going to really talk about that today because that is based upon you getting a list and making offers and doing things like that. That's a whole other discussion. Maybe at next year's conference, we'll talk about that one. But I want to talk about these first two over here. When I was doing my research for this presentation, I noticed that there was a lot of talk about what your email address actually says about you. Have you ever gotten someone sent you their business email and it was at Gmail? Happens all the time. What about BT Internet or at Tiscali or Hotmail or something like that, right? What does it say? Does it say that they're a full-time business? Does it say they're at the top of their game? I have an email list of almost 12,000 wedding and event businesses. 40% of that list does not use an email that's at their web address. I'm Alan@AlanBerg.com. The first thing I did when my website went up, I got an email that was Alan@AlanBerg.com. Because you know two things. You know my email and my website. Have you ever looked at someone's email address, but you went to their website? Yeah. But if it's at Gmail, I can't do that. If it's at BT Internet, I can't do that. So the people that are using them are just thinking, well, it's just easier this way. I'm just using my Gmail or something like that. But what they're doing is they're negating a strong value, which is you're showing people your web address and you're showing them you're serious about your business. And it's not that you're not serious about your business if you have Gmail. It's just, I have a phrase where you don't always get points for doing it right, but you lose points for getting it wrong. That's one of those times where you get it wrong. If you have your name at your company, you're not going to get any points. Nobody's going to say, hey, thanks, you did it the right way. But they will know that you did it the wrong way. How many of you remember a time called BI, before the internet? There are a few of you in here, right? A few of you brave enough to admit it on there. But the thing with BI, before the internet, we had the same issue. Why won't they just call me? Just pick up the phone. It would be so much easier if they would just call me. So we had a different technology issue. But the reality is, it's always hard to get someone to just pick up the phone and to ring you. So why won't they just ring you? Why? Have you ever looked at the time of the day and the day of the week that your email inquiries are coming in from weddings? Monday to Friday, during the day, where are they? They're at work. They simply can't pick up the phone and go, yes, I'd like to talk to someone about a wedding. They might do this. Yeah, I'd like to. But really, they're not going to. Why? Because they are digital natives. Your typical wedding customer is Generation Y, born between 1980 and 2000, millennials, whatever you want to call them. They are comfortable with technology. I have two sons that fall into that. They learn their ABCs sitting on my lap with a computer, find the letter that's on the screen, find it on the keyboard. Find the number, find it on the keyboard. That's how they learned. Technology is natural to them. I know what it's like to do business without all this technology. Now, I am a digital immigrant that has come along willingly. The guy who has a new MacBook, an iPhone 6, an iPad mini. I love my technology. I came along willingly. We all know those people that are trying to fight it. flip phone, right? We know the people, right? But the thing is, it's not about you, it's about them. So you have to learn to adapt to them. So I saw this article, Why Does Gen Y Hate Phones? And they came up with a whole list of things. They want to be prepared before they speak with you. Now think about it. Reviews is people being prepared. They're reading up on you. They're Googling you. Right? How many years ago did it have to be before we knew what Googling was? Right? But they're going to check you out. They prefer a scheduled call if they'll have one at all. So they want to know the day and the time that it's going to happen. Right? Why? Because they want to be prepared before they speak with you. They find that it's an interruption, which I thought was strange because it's always an interruption. When the phone rings, it is always an interruption. You're never sitting there doing absolutely nothing, staring at your phone going, okay, phone rang, good. Now, whether it's watching television or whether it's working or whether it's doing the laundry, it doesn't matter. You're always interrupting something. Now, those of us who remember BI, I remember when I was a child, the phone would ring at the house. We would run over each other to get to the phone. I got it. No, I got it. No, I got it. Now, the phone rings in my house. I don't even flinch. If it's not my office line, I don't flinch. The phone rings, I mean, not even a twitch, nothing. My wife will get it. Unless I hear from the other room, could you get that? I don't even move. If you call my office, it rings my cell phone at the same time. So wherever I am, I'm going to get that call. My wife liked that, so I hooked that up on our house line too. So if she's out and the house phone rings, her cell phone rings. So his phone is always there. But if the house phone rings, it's not for me. If it's my parents, it's for my wife. If it's our children, it's for my wife. It's not for me. It's not, because if they wanted me, they would call me, right? The thing is, they said phone conversations by their nature don't give us ample pause. They put us on the spot. And I thought that was a really strong thing for this article to say that Gen Y thinks. So I asked one of my sons. He's Gen Y. The apple didn't fall far from the tree. You put him in a room full of strangers, comes out with a room full of best friends. Just like his dad, that's who he is. That's my son. Very great, personal, very great. But he doesn't like to use the phone. And I asked him why, and without ever reading this article, he told me the same things. And he said one more thing. He said, I find it to be confrontational. And I'm thinking of all the words my college graduate son could have pulled out of his pocket. He said, confrontational? That's a strong word. And it was all those same reasons. So, I'm going to give you 8 tips for better email conversations. If you do these things well, I guarantee you, and I don't like to put guarantees out there, but I guarantee you, you will have a better response from all of your customers. You will spend less time on email, not more, because you'll have much more efficiency in what you're doing. The first one is the most important one. It's a real conversation. Email is a person writing to a person. It's not a computer writing to a computer. It is a person writing to a person. There's no such thing as B2B sales, business to business, B2C, business to consumer. It's person to person every time. If you do corporate work, you are a person working for a business, even if it's just you, doing business with a person who works for a business. That's not B2B, that's person to person. If that person doesn't like you, trust you, doesn't think you can get the job done, they don't hire you. Has nothing to do with their technology. It's a person. Write what you would say to them if they had rang you up. Literally, write that. It's hard because your 9th grade English teacher is looking over your shoulder going, Ellie, I'm sorry, that's not proper grammar. Or worse, it's a nun with a yardstick, right? There you go. The thing is, if you could allow yourself to let your personality come through exactly like you do on the phone, they'll know who you are, they'll feel more comfortable, you'll have a much better response. The second one is to reply as quickly as you can. What does that mean? It means exactly what it says. For instance, right now, for the next 40 minutes or so, none of you are checking your email, right? So when you respond in our break, it'll be fine. Your customers will be fine. Your business won't fall apart. They'll be okay that you waited to get back to them, right? So you don't have to respond to your email every second to be responsive to customers. You do have to respond as quickly as you can. I pride myself in responding as quickly as I can. I have a hard time sometimes because I'm speaking all day. I'm on an airplane. I'm in a different time zone. I'm 5 hours ahead of the East Coast. I'm 8 hours ahead of the West Coast in the States. I'm headed to Dubai. It's going to put another 4 hours on top of that. I don't know what time it is back home. Somebody actually called me. There's a do not disturb feature on my phone I had to set for different times because someone called thinking I was home. And it was 5 hours later. And it was 1 o'clock in the morning. My phone rang. It was a customer. Now it goes to voicemail. So replying as quickly as you can means exactly that. One thing that will get you or lose you a customer is not being responsive. If you are responsive, they will notice that. The third thing is to mirror their tone. Now, I'm going to show you a few examples after this. You'll get a better idea of tone. But when you're in person with someone, you tend to mirror their tone. If they're very formal, you find yourself speaking more formally. If they're very casual, you're being more casual. So if they're like, hi, you find yourself just kind of getting more hi, which, by the way, is number 4, is mirroring their energy. Their tone and their energy is evident in person. It's evident on the phone. It's evident in their email if you'll listen for it. If you look for it in their emails, you'll see the hi email versus the hello, I would like to speak with someone about my nuptials. I'm considering engaging your services for my upcoming nuptials. Now, if they wrote that way, you don't write back, well, hi. You mirror their tone, you mirror their energy. Now, how many of you have a contact form? Actually, Mark and I were just talking about this, a contact form on your website. Okay. I have one. Now, the thing is, the longer the form, the less people will fill it out. And I'll have people argue with me. People with really long forms say, but Alan, everyone fills it all the way out. No. The ones that fill it out, fill it all the way out. How many looked at that form and said, no? Even if you're not even looking for the red asterisk that says required field, you're going, no, you just look at the long form and go, no. This form is on my website, a little hard to see there. Name, required. Email, required. Phone isn't even required. They all give me the phone, but it's not required. A few check boxes. Why check boxes? Not a drop down. You can see all the choices right now. You can check more than one box. If you offer different services, you can check more than one box. Besides, people like buttons, they like boxes. It's a human nature thing. It has the security thing here, not the CAPTCHA thing. It has what's 1 + 1. If you can't get that right, I don't think I want to do business with you. And then it says send. Actually, I changed it now to send it to Alan or something like that. There's an orange button that says send. Why? Because people like buttons. Mark and I were talking about if you tell someone what to do and you make it easy, more people do that. This form is on the top right of every page of my website except the home page and the contact page. Contact page will be redundant because there's a contact form on that page. My site has been up, this current site has been up for 16 months. Only 2 people have ever used my actual contact page. Everyone else uses the short form that's on the page you're on. Which is also possibly because wherever my call to action is, it says if you'd like to find out more about having Alan, whatever, review your website, consult whatever it is, email, which is a link, use the short form on the top right, and then it goes on with there. So it tells you to use the short form, and everybody does. And I get more inquiries because of that. It's on the page you're on. You don't have to leave the page you're on to take the action. Every time you make someone leave the page they're on, the page will load too slowly or whatever it is, and they go away. This form on the right is a very common form from a DJ, photographer, if you're using Shoot Q or Gig Builders or one of those things, and it's just TMI. The question of your form is not do you need the information ever? Do you need the information right now to start a conversation? Because if you ask them all the questions right now, you have nothing to talk about but price. Start a conversation. Ask them the questions. Somebody said, but Alan, that'll take longer. No, it really doesn't. That email back and forth is pretty quick. It will stretch out over a longer period of time, but it won't actually take you longer because it's very quick. Mirror how much they write. This is the one I see broken all the time. They send you a little inquiry. It says what? How much do you charge? And you figure, well, let me just tell them. And you send them back a book, right? Someplace between War and Peace and the Iliad, right? Somewhere in there. You send them this back because you just want to rush the process, just give them all the information. And if you hear nothing after those emails, it's because you gave them too much information. You didn't listen. You didn't provide them with what they really wanted. They send you a little, send a little. Now, You ever see on the bottom of an email it says sent from my Android or sent from my iPhone? What did they just tell you? It's a small screen. Don't send me a PDF that's formatted for full-size paper. Don't send me photos and attachments and things. If it says sent from my iPhone, they're reading it on their iPhone. Listen to that. Listen. Listen with your eyes on that one. Don't answer questions they haven't asked. Basic rule of sales. You find out if they're interested, and then you tell them. You don't tell them until you know they're interested. You just start telling them all the wonderful things you could do for them, and they're thinking, well, you don't even know if I want those things. I don't really care about those things. Basic rule of sales, ask, then you go down that road. If there's something they haven't asked about and you want to know if they're interested, you don't say, let me tell you about this. You say, have you thought about this? And they go, no, what's that? Oh, well, let me tell you. And if they say, yeah, we have, we're really not interested, don't go, well, let me tell you anyway. But that's what you're doing when you dump information in emails. Number 6A is ask them a question at the end of that email. Think about every email that went nowhere. Almost guarantee you that the end of your email was a period. End it with a question mark. If I end with a question mark, you're supposed to answer the question. If I end it with a period, it was a statement. Conversation over. I got this tip from one of my clients, and it works beautifully. But one question, not 5 questions. So let's say they email you, how much do you charge? And you're a photographer, you're going to go back to them, and you need to know where it is and how many people, what time it starts, and all these things. Eventually. You go back and say, so tell me, where's the wedding going to be? Question. After you ask that question, little phrase I like to use, shut up. You asked a question. Let them answer the question. Don't answer it for them, ask the question. Getting married at the Belfry. What would you say on the phone? Now the question, or would you say, well, it's a beautiful place. I was there for a conference just recently. The food was great, or whatever, right? You editorialize your answers on the phone. You editorialize in person. Editorialize in the email. I just worked there the other day. What does that say? They're already working there. This is a good choice for me. That's what you do. And then you go to the next question. How many guests are you expecting? 175. That's a wonderful size. You'll have time to go around and speak to people. That's a really great size. Good for you. And then you'd ask another question. And yes, this is one email back and forth, right? Now we're at Wimbledon. Sending it back to you. Back to you. But that's what you do. That's how a real conversation goes. If I rang you up on the phone, it would never be me speaking for an hour. Well, might be. But it wouldn't. I'm a speaker. Okay. By the way, if you ever were in my home and see me on the phone not saying a word, there's only 2 people in the world it could be, my mother or my sister. So I can talk, but they can really talk. So ask them a question. Number 7, don't send attachments they haven't asked for. How many of you open up an attachment you didn't ask for? Oh, goody, they've sent me a Word document. Let me open that right now. No. Nobody does that. I have a simple philosophy. If you don't like something somebody else does, don't do it to other people. I'm not going to open your attachments unless I ask for them. Another thing I do with attachments, if David said to me, could you send me something? I had to say the other day, somebody said, could you send it? The file was kind of a little large. I sent back and said, absolutely, I'm going to send it to you in the next email. If you don't see it, please check your spam folder. Then I send the other email, and if they don't get another email, they check the spam folder. If I sent it in the first email and it went to spam, he thinks I didn't respond. So that's a good way when you're going to do attachments, separate it just in case they don't get it. If it's a bigger file, use a transfer service, WeTransfer, or one of the services where you can send it that way. And number 8 is don't stop the conversation if they haven't. There will be gaps, and sometimes you email them and they don't get back to you right away because whatever, they're on holiday, they're busy, whatever it is, somebody takes ill. It's okay that there's a gap. Don't give up on it. Most of your competitors will. Bonus tip. Don't get mad. Get creative. Sometimes people write you, and you look at the email and you go, whoa, that was a little harsh. Did they really mean it, though? Or were they rushed at work? Did they mean it, or did their boss just yell at them? Did they have a car accident on the way to the office that day? And I know as a happily married man that I sometimes walk into the crosshairs. I'm at home, minding my own business. My wife is mad at someone or something, just got an hour and a half with customer service, and there's the crosshairs, you know, the red dot or whatever, and I walk in, I was like, whoa. And being a happily married man, I run through my head, what did I do? 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 Can't think of it this time. Okay. Don't need to buy flowers. What do I need to do here, right? And I realized that sometimes I'll go into my office, sequester myself, and my wife will come in later and go, hey, sorry, that really wasn't about you. I was on the phone with customer service. But if I had reacted to it when I got the red dot, like, oh, you think so, huh? The thing is, then they send you that short, curt email. They don't always mean to be short and curt. They just could be rushed. So be careful what you write, because when you hit send, you don't own it anymore. They can forward it. They can put it up on a billboard. They can do whatever they want. So, show you a quick example of this. I consult to Wedding Wire in the States. They have another site called Event Wire, which is for non-wedding type events. A photographer did a family reunion shoot. The customer was not happy with the photos. They expressed that to the photographer in an email, which they are entitled to do. Customer's not happy, they're entitled to tell you they're not happy. As a matter of fact, I would rather the customer told me they weren't happy than tell the world they weren't happy, right? Give me a chance here, let me make it right. So the photographer, when the photographer heard, the photographer said, oh, back to you. The customer went and posted a review online expressing their dissatisfaction with the photographer's services. Again, their right to do it. But they took the photographer's email and pasted it in underneath their review to show how it went. Now, I will have to preface this because one of the words in here has a different meaning in the States. But this is what the photographer wrote to the unhappy customer. I'm not going to go around and have a pissing match with you about it. Now, that's not getting drunk. It means something different in the States. I did the best I could with the situation at venue. Listen to this. They're dropping, what is that, prepositions or something? Situation at venue. There should be another word in there. This person is agitated when they're typing. Tone and energy. Listen to tone and energy. If the rest of you would like to order prints then, that should be then, you should do so before it expires. This is the best I can do. If you write to someone, this is the best I can do, you've just said, conversation over. We're not having any more talks about this. I'm not open to a suggestion that might make you happy. We're done. All right? And if other family members would like to order, then I will edit accordingly. I cannot change the fact that the sun was in their face and there is no trick in Photoshop to make it go away. Okay, so I am not a professional photographer. I do not play one on television. All right, I have a photographer here. Where's my photographers? Okay, so let me ask you a question. If you're about to take a picture at a family reunion and the sun was in their face, you'd probably know that, right? Right? Little telltale signs. Right? Little telltale signs, right? You get little things like the squinty eyes and stuff like that, right? You would know the sun was in their face, right? I mean, here we go. Right? You can get this, right? So you're about to take their picture. The sun is in their face. Are you going to take the picture? Or are you going to turn them around? So the sun's not in their face anymore, right? So what they've just highlighted is not only they're a bad business person, they're a bad photographer. And their words are online with the review because they hit send. What you're supposed to do is sit at the bar and tell your friends this, not send it to the customer. So, now, bulletin board rule. Peter Post. Emily Post wrote books on manners, Miss Manners, that's what she was called. Peter Post, her grandson, wrote The Etiquette Advantage in Business. If you can't put what you want to communicate on a bulletin board for anyone to read, you shouldn't put it in an email, a text, or a voicemail. Voicemails can be forwarded too. Don't say it there. Think about it first. Think about the long term. Business is a game of chess. If I do this, what's going to happen next? And if you think ahead like that, you won't hit send. So it's okay to write that email. You got to get it off your chest. You're like, I just have to write it. First rule, don't put anybody in the to field. If you're going to write them an email that you want to write, don't put anybody in the to field because you just instinctively hit send. Okay, so it's like hitting reply all when you shouldn't hit reply all, right? Don't put anybody in there. Right, I had a customer did that. He called me up. He told me this big story. I said, write the email you want to send to them. Send it to me. He sent it to me. It was well thought out. He tried to take the emotion out of it. It was well structured. And I called him up and I said, how do you feel? You feel any better? He goes, a little bit. I said, well, that's as good as it's going to get because you can't send this. He was trying to prove that he was right. If I'm trying to prove I'm right, what am I trying to say about you? You're wrong. What customer wants to be proven wrong? I said I'm a happily married man because my wife and I have an understanding. She can tell me I'm wrong. We know when she's wrong, we just don't have to talk about it. It's kind of like Voldemort, you don't say it, right? That's what it is. We know when she's wrong, we don't have to utter the words. She has to tell me that I'm wrong, and I let her do that. I'm happily married. I will let her do that. I have learned in business and life I would rather be successful and happy than right. If I have to prove to my customer that they're wrong, it's not going to go anywhere. If I prove to my wife that she's wrong, how's that going to end? Right? I'm happily married. I want to stay that way. Now, I want to show you some real email examples for as much as we have time left. It looks like we have a lot of time, which is great. These are examples from people. I've taken their names off. If it's a DJ and you're a caterer, you can read between the lines. If it's a photographer and you're a dress shop, you can read between the lines. You get the idea of it here. Typical email. Hello, I'm getting married next summer. I'm looking for a photographer and or videographer for our wedding. Can you please give me pricing and information for a basic package? Thank you, Valerie. Sent from my iPhone. So you see the sent from my iPhone, immediately your answer has to be short. Can you answer that question? No. Why not? I need more information. And if you go back and say, I can't give you a price, I need more information, you're being defensive. Right? So we talked about that this morning. What do? You go back to them, acknowledge the fact that they've asked. How many of you were here this morning? How many of you are not here this morning? Okay, quick version on this, very simply. Why is she asking how much? She doesn't know what else to ask. She's asking about photography. She doesn't know how to buy photography or video, so she's asking how much. She's asking about a basic package. What does that mean? It means she doesn't think she needs something fancy, but she doesn't know what that means. So I'll get to that in a second. So you can't answer the question, so you go back, and your first two words were, thank you. She was listening. All right, A over here. Thank you. Why do you say thank you? Because there were 300 photographers in your area, and a dozen of them got the inquiry, and you're one of them. Thank you for putting me on the short list today. I'm considering using your services for my wedding reception on 7th November. I was wondering if you could please provide me with some information on your basic DJ package for 4 hours. I am possibly interested in your photography pricing for my ceremony and reception. Thanks, Danielle. So what do we know about Danielle? She gave me a date. Didn't give me a location. She gave me a date. She's been to my website because she's asking about DJ and possibly photography, so she knows that we have the other services. So if you start reading this, she's got a little bit of information. She's done a little bit of research. Basic package for 4 hours. Any DJs here? No? One DJ? Okay. So here's the thing. Do you ever work only 4 hours on a wedding? Never. And then you spend some time ahead of time? Right? A lot of time. So what would you say? 25, 30, 35 hours?
We spend about 15 to 20 hours
on the playlist. And then you have the time getting there, and then you have the time there. So by the time you're done with it, it's 30, 35 hours, something like that. I was sitting with a DJ in Kansas City, and he said, Alan, I always get this thing. It's always a 5-hour question there. He said, how much is your 5-hour package? And we had that conversation about how long it takes. I said I would answer back and say, thank you so much for inquiring with us. We'd love to talk to you about it. You obviously feel music is important, and we'd love to speak to you about it. We don't actually have a 5-hour package. We'd love to tell you about our 35-hour package. And have them come back and say, 35 hours? Yes. If you've read all of our great reviews, the reason that those happen is because of the 30 hours we're going to spend before your wedding preparing for it, and that's what's going to make it so great for those 5. Different conversation, right? So, all right, so basic package for 4 hours. Now, here's the other thing. Do you do lighting?
We do
Lighting? Do you do photo booth?
We don't do photo.
Okay,
We do photography.
photography. Okay, so what if every wedding that Danielle has been to in the last year has had a DJ, not a band, and they've had the ceremony there, not in the church, so they had ceremony sound system, they had the wedding sound system, they had a DJ with an MC, they had uplighting, they were dancing on the clouds and whatever. Every wedding she went to had all those things. That's a basic package. In her mind, it's a basic package because every wedding had it. Therefore, it must be basic because it was all the same things. But that's the thing, her perception of it. I don't care if your price list says basic package. Don't answer that question because it might be missing things that she wants. Your basic package could be, you for 4 hours, we're done. Oh, you want the lighting? Great. You want the MC? Great. You want this other stuff? And now it's not a basic package. But if she thinks a basic package has all those things in it, and you quote her your bottom price and it's missing those things, you've misled the bride. because you didn't give her what she needed. Basic package means I don't want to pay for anything I don't want or need. That's what it means. It doesn't mean I want your bottom package. It means I want only the things that I want. I don't want to pay for things on top of that. That's what they mean when they say basic package. So the answer is, I'd love to give you information about a basic package for you, but I want to make sure it's not missing anything that you really do need. So let's find out a little bit more about what you need, and I'll make sure that we'll give you just the right price. Is that okay? And by the way, that question, is that okay, is the question at the end of the email. Come back and say, sure, that would be fine. Email them one more question, right? Back and forth, back and forth. This, this DJ has a reply that she's written ahead of time. Well thought out, things like that. Remember I said mirror how much they write? Not so much. She sends this email to everybody who does an inquiry. Everyone. She's not listening. She's not listening. This whole thing, Facebook links, Twitter links, YouTube links, slide.com links, I mean, all these things, besides the fact that this might trigger a spam filter with all those links in it, and then it comes down here starting at 225. I mean, mirror how much they write. If this was on somebody's cell phone, can you imagine trying to read this? Oh, and I took all the pictures out, and every icon she had out, and her logo out, and all those other things, because I was trying to homogenize these things. So, all right, here's another one. Hi, David. Okay, there you are, David. Hi, David. My name is Ashley Smith. I'm getting married in Birmingham on 25th June. I have 2 questions. 1, are you possibly available that Saturday? And 2, would you be free for a consultation the week of March 21st, 25th? My fiance and I go to school in London. We'll be home that week for half term. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing from you. God bless, Ashley. Do you like Ashley? Mm-hmm. Does she sound nice? She's very polite, isn't she? The tone and the energy. This is not, hi. This is, hello. I'd like to find out, are you possibly available? This is a very polite, very nice person. She writes very nicely here. She writes to the DJ. Notice that she didn't say hello. She said, hello, David. Hi, David. Someplace on his website, he encouraged, I'm David, email me. Not somebody, me. That's starting a conversation between 2 people. It's a the guard is down on that. Hello, Ashley, great to hear from you. I'm still available on June 25th. Would sure love to meet with you guys. Would sure love to meet with you guys? His English teacher is twitching right now. You can't write like that. You have to write an essay. No. He wrote what he would actually say. I would sure love to meet with you guys. When you come back for break, will you guys be in Birmingham? I'd be happy to pop over there. If you're going to be in Sutton Coldfield, we could certainly meet up around here. If you have any questions that I could help you with via email, how many of you try to force the phone call right away? Yeah. If you can I can help you with via email, please fire away. And if you need recommendations for other vendors, be happy to help you with that as well. Thanks a bunch, David. Do you like David? You kind of getting his personality? He's nice, he's friendly, a little bit more casual. If you want formal, he's not your guy. He's the, right? This is what it is. But the interesting thing here, fire away with email. They just told him they're in school. He's not saying you have to call me. He's saying, you have any questions via email? Fire away. Most of you want to get him on the phone, ring me up, ring me up, ring me up, ring me up. Do they want to ring you up? No, they don't. They don't want to. You want them to ring you up, but they don't want to ring you up. So just encourage them to do what they want. Now, 2nd or 3rd email, 4th email, whatever, at some point you could say, hey, Ellie, if it's easier for you, we could always arrange for a call. Now, I know it's easier for me, but I'm going to say to you, if it's easier for you, we could always arrange a call. And some of them will go, oh, could you do that on my lunch hour? And some of them will go, no, email's better for me. Absolutely. Brilliant. That's all. If you try to get them to do what you want, you lose them. If you do what they want, you get them. It took her 12 days to respond to his email, his very nice email. 12 days. Hi, David. Thank you for getting back to me. I'm sorry I've taken so long to respond. We've been in the midst of exams. I'll be in Birmingham next week, 21st, 25th March. Would you be available to meet on Thursday the 24th at some point? Hope to hear back from you soon. Ashley. 12 days, but a good reason. If she's in the middle of exams, she's not talking about weddings. She's talking about exams. It took her 12 days to get back to him, but he didn't give up on it. He comes back, hey, Ashley, I hope exams are treating you okay and you're getting some sleep. She mentioned to him when they met that he was the only one that talked about school. Everyone else went right to business. He's listening to the person, not to the job. The person was in the middle of exams. The person is going through a stressful time. The person is trying to plan a wedding while they're in school. He heard them say, exams, I hope you're getting some sleep. If someone mentions their dog, mentions they're going on holiday, something like that, give that back when you're speaking with them. Now, he did make a mistake. Her initial email said, we're going to be in the 21st to the 24th or 25th, something like that. Can you meet? He said, I'm pretty open time-wise. She came back, said Thursday the 24th. I can meet you wherever and whenever. He's taking too many emails to get to the appointment. You want to get more appointments with people? Suggest 2 days and times. Thursday at 10, Friday at 11. By the way, do this with almost everything you do. Closing the sale, get them down to 2 choices. Would you like this package or this package? Would you like it with the roses or without? Would you like it with the shrimp or without? Would you like it on the morning or afternoon? Whatever it is, give people a choice of 2. They can make a decision. If you ever have people saying to you, you've given us so much to think about, we need to go home and process it, shut up. No, because you're doing that to yourself. That's self-inflicted. If you're always getting people saying you've given us too much to think about, it's because you're never taking any choices away, you're just giving them more. Your job is to take away all the choices that don't make any sense at all for them, so that the one is left with the sun shining on it going, oh, and that's got to be the one. Because there's no others in my view now. This is the right one because we've taken all the ones that don't work away. Okay. Now this one was in the middle of a discussion that went back and forth between an entertainment company and a customer. The groom says to the entertainment owner, hi Bob, thank you for the pictures. We're interested in the uplighting and monogram in the ballroom only. Also, could we meet with you and DJ Kenny? DJ Kenny is another DJ, works for him. The owner charges a higher price than DJ Kenny. Okay? Now, what's good about this email? We're interested in the uplighting and monogram in the ballroom only. Now, the customer says only, thinking, well, this is a smaller sale than you could have gotten. I'm hearing, cha-ching. You just told me you're buying. You told me you're buying. Now, the other thing is that this customer wants to meet and see the difference between the owner and Kenny. The owner thinks that he wants to meet in the room at the same time. The customer wants you to sit in the room with him and Kenny. The customer didn't say that. The customer's saying, can we make one trip to the office? That's what they're saying. Unfortunately, this DJ thinks that the customer wants to sit in a room with him and Kenny, and he doesn't like to do that for various reasons. So he took this nice email and sent back this. Hi, Greg. I can set you up with either one or the other, but not both at the same time. I've done this in the past, and it's not conducive to building a good client-vendor relationship. Seriously? Typically, when a client meets with Kenny and we're together, I let Kenny do all the talking so you get to know him better. Kenny is a great fit for people that are not only on a budget, but looking for something simple. Is it just me, or did he throw him under the bus? Right? Okay, so he throws a guy that works for him under the bus. Right? I'm more about getting to know you. Quite honestly, the difference between Kenny and I is substantial. Oh, did you hear the bus? Into reverse. Really? Okay. If you're looking for something simple, like filling out our online sheets, Kenny's a great choice. I mean, now he's just like stabbing him. Right? Kenny does not know how to incorporate any of those features. And then he goes into a little analogy I like to use. There were 2 doctors. Both of them are great guys. Okay, let me go back a second here. Could we meet with you and DJ Kenny? What was the answer? Yes, right, yes. 3 letters, 1 word, yes, yes. And set up a time. That's all it had to be, not this. Crazy. Okay. Here's another one. I looked at your website today. Can you send me a price list for the different packages and add-ons? Clearly they had information on the site, but no prices. This is a great email address to get a hold of me. Thanks, Christina. You have no idea how Christina got to your website. I'm going to give you a little hint here right now. None of you, not one person in this room, including myself, gets any business from your website. Let that sink in for a second. You get business through your website, not from it. People come from somewhere to your site. If you're lucky, they go through your site and contact you, and that's how you do business with them. If you can't trace it back to where they came from, you have no idea where you're getting your business. Nobody in this room, including me, gets business from your website. You get business through it. They had to know about you to go to your website, find out about you somewhere, click on a link, get a business card, get a flyer, whatever it is. They had to do something to get to your site, to get through it to you. Your site is not the stopping point. Your site is the way station on the way to doing business with you, unless you sell on your website. Okay, so Christina sends this out. He comes back, Christina, I've attached our price list, but I'm not sure how helpful it would be at this point. Then why did you send it to her? Okay, a lot of what we do as entertainers doesn't really translate, whatever. When you come in, we'll cover everything in more detail. Did we settle on a specific time and date for our meeting? I know we discussed it, but I'm not sure if we said it or not. Seriously? You should know that. She comes back and says, at this time, we're going to cancel our appointment with you on 4th October. For what we're looking, your pricing is a little out of our budget. We're paying for this entire wedding ourselves, so we have to make every dollar count. Thank you for your time, Christina. This guy thinks that when someone says we're paying it for ourselves, it's a demand for a discount. Do you think that's what it means? No. You know what it is? It's a statement of fact. It's a statement of fact. We don't have an ATM. Dad, ATM. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. We don't have an ATM like that to go to. I saw a stat, I don't know what it is out here, but in the States, 40% of straight couples and 86% of same-sex couples are paying for the entire wedding themselves. 40% of straight couples. It's probably not much different here, right? 40%, which means 60% are using other people's money, or like I said before, other parents' money. Either way. But 40% is just a statement. What they're saying is we have a budget, we need to stick to that budget, we're paying for this wedding ourselves. Okay. The answer to that is, I really applaud you guys in this economy for taking this on yourselves. You need to make sure every dollar counts. And we have a lot of customers that come to us in that same situation. So thank you. Thanks for giving us the chance. That's the answer. He comes back and says, Christina, just out of curiosity, what did you plan on spending for entertainment? We have packages starting at $9.99. Nothing wrong with that answer, had he stopped there. But he didn't stop there. He added one sentence. One sentence. That's beyond what you're willing to spend for entertainment? Yeah, ooh. Snarky, right? This is a little snarky now. If he had just stopped and said here, she goes back to it and she could say, yes, I saw that. Instead, he's like, what, you don't have that to spend? That's what he just did. So she comes back, I don't know why, and says, but that doesn't include the ceremony, which is another 300 pounds. We're not looking to spend 1,300. We're hoping not to go over 900 to 1,000. Just can't justify the extra 300. We have things that need to be paid for. Her tone isn't changing yet. She's like, yeah, no, I read the pricing, which he told her wouldn't help her, by the way. I read the pricing. It's going to be 1,300. We don't want to spend more than 1,000. So he comes back. I think he was DJ Kenny's also that same school. So your budget for 2 sound systems and a professional DJ for your wedding is 1,000 pounds? If that's the case, then you're right. We don't have anything in your range, but frankly, I don't know of any professionals who do. Kind enough to do me a favor. Let me know if you found anybody. I'm always looking to refer people, whatever. Again, crazy. So she comes back, instead of just going away, and says, I found your email to be quite rude and completely out of line. You asked for my budget, so I told you I want someone to handle both my wedding and reception for 1,000. Clearly, that's not your company. That gives you no right to call my budget unreasonable, be rude. We're paying for this wedding by ourselves, and it's not been easy. She's still writing. Next time, try. Sorry, Christina, that we cannot find something that fits your budget. Good luck with the wedding planning. She's telling him he should have said that. And I said, you go, girl. Okay. Oh, by the way, that DJ showed this. I was in a meeting. There were 50 of us in there. And he looked at the room and he said, did you think I was rude? And to a man and a woman, everywhere, yes, you were rude. How did you not know you were rude? Okay. Now, sometimes we use the wrong language. We commoditize what we do. We make our things seem like they're interchangeable. In this case, one company called their people a staff DJ. So the bride asks the other company that she had already seen that was more expensive, well, they said they could have a staff DJ do it for $850. I don't really know how their staff DJ would be any different than one of yours. If you call them generic things, they're pawns on a chessboard and they're interchangeable. Make them sound special, make people understand it. Like don't have package A, B, and C. There's nothing exciting about that, or 1, 2, and 3. There's nothing exciting about that. But what she's saying is if you don't have anybody at $850, maybe you can explain what the difference would be, since $200 is quite a bit of money. When someone comes back to you and says they got a better price, what are they really saying? I want to hire you. Because if they found a better price and I like them better, why didn't they hire them? They came back to you. I came back to you to tell you that you're more expensive, but I'm going to hire them. No, they came back to you because they like you better, but they're more money. Could you explain why you're more money? She's leaving the door completely open to spend the more money if you'll justify it to her. your other customers, this is value. Remember, earlier some of you heard me talk about value versus price. If she perceives the higher price to be a better value, she'll pay the higher price. Videographer, he had met a couple in September, followed up in October, no response. Followed in November, no response. Saw me present this in December, asked me afterwards, do you think I should still follow up? I said, when's the wedding? He said, October. It was December. I said, October? Like 10 months from now, October? He said, yeah. I said, you follow up until a week before the wedding. Right? Unless they've told you they booked somebody else up, why not? Right? Just a video especially, they don't book you first. I wish they would, but they don't book you first. All right, so anyway, so he sends her an email and says, let me know if you're still interested. Happy to answer any questions via email. Completely lifted that off of the other email before. We can schedule a time to talk that works best. If I don't hear from you, best of luck with the wedding next October. Hasn't heard from her in 3 months. She responds right away and says, thanks for your emails. I appreciate you reaching out. She was in the middle of buying a house, getting a mortgage, all those things, which is all consuming. She says to him, we're still in the need of a videographer for our wedding. Would love to speak to you. I love this. If you wouldn't mind, would I be able to email you after this weekend to set up a date and time? Again, thank you for reaching out. She's thanking him for reaching out. He was not top of mind. If he didn't follow up, somebody else would have gotten that job. Instead, he did. So here's your recap. Be conversational. If you do nothing else, let your personal voice come through. Reply as quickly as you can. Listen for the tone. Listen for the energy. Nothing is private. You hit send. You don't own it anymore. Don't answer questions they haven't asked. Ask them a question. Don't send them attachments unless they ask for it. And even if they ask for it, only send them what they need and not more. If you do weddings and corporate and communions and golf outings or whatever, and they're getting married, only send them the wedding information. I don't want a PDF with 28 pages when they need 2. Continue the conversation. It's not over until the conversation is over. And speaking of over, my time is up. Thank you so much for listening. Appreciate it. Thanks.